Hey, all my Crimsonites, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel, where we embrace our femininity, increase our womanly value, and celebrate our brothers. So join me on our feminine journey to learn, heal, and grow. Hi. Hi, everybody. How we doing today? Hopefully everybody's doing well. Thank you, Kendra. Said, hey, Kendra, I got married to my girlfriend on Monday. Ah, congratulations. Congratulations. I'm so happy for you guys. May you all have a happy, healthy, fruitful marriage. I'm happy for you guys. I have a topic that we're going to talk about today that is one that's close to me, near and dear to me. And it is the topic of us. Here and there on my platform, I've said this before, that we're doomed, or we're close to it, or we're extinct, or we're on the brink of extinction. And I don't say that to be tongue-in-cheek. I don't say that to be sensational. I don't say that to be dramatic. I say it because it is the truth. Thank you, Professor Carl. Thank you so much. Because of the recent situation that's been going on over the past week or what have you, there has been almost a YouTube civil war, if you just want to say it. And it brought to mind this topic today. And the thing that it made me think about was why are we really on the brink of extinction? What puts us there? Because, there are enough black people. We're the majority in the world, right? We're the world majority. Melanated people are the world majority. So it's not from a physical standpoint necessarily the extinction or the doom. That's not necessarily what I mean in a physical way. I mean as a Black American community, and I'm using that word loosely today because we lack the one thing that actually makes us a community. We lack no unity, but we don't know what that means. Unity. Unified how? Unified under what banner? That's the part. That's the doom. We are doomed because we have no unity. But we have no unity because we have no code. We have no code because we don't know what a code is. See, we say stay on code or black people need to be on code. What that tells me is that we desire a code. That also tells me that we know we don't have one. We want to have one because we understand that it is necessary for our collective survival. But we don't have one. And we know we don't have one. Each one of us, individually, we know we don't have a code. Why don't we have a code? Why don't we have a collective code? Because being on code would first require that there is a code. Our lack of the code and our inability to directly define it is what has doomed us. Our lack of a code and our inability to directly define what it is what has doomed us. A community's code, I'm going to give you the definition of code in this sense. A community's code is its shared value system. A community's code is its shared value system. A community's code is its shared value system. We don't have one. We don't have a shared value system. We don't have it. That's why we where we at. Let me give you an example. The Italian mob is always portrayed as having a code. Regardless of their status as an organized criminal organization, La Cosa Nostra was built and maintained on a shared set of values, aka their code. That's how they rose to power. That's how they maintained their power for so long. Because La Cosa Nostra, this thing of ours, was built and maintained on a set of shared values. Those values that they shared could be articulated. They could state what they were. It was not vague. They could state what they were, what the values were. The values could be articulated, and anyone involved with them, either directly or indirectly, was keenly aware of those values and that code. There were clearly stated and clearly understood consequences for breaking the code, and it was protected from external influences as much as they possibly could. Meaning outsiders that did not share their code could not be included in it. So even their family members that were not directly involved in mafia activity, such as wives, children, even when their children got grown and didn't want to be associated, they knew the code. They knew the code. They knew it. And they lived by it. It was culturally ingrained based on their biology, and they created an environment that sustained it. Thank you, Jesus, God's favorite Pookie. How you doing? Thank you so much. There was a code. Didn't matter that they was a criminal organization. It didn't matter what they were doing. They were able to do it because they were unified under a code. The code was their shared value system. The Jews have a code. They have a shared value system. They have a shared value system. They can articulate it to you. They can articulate it to you. They can say definitively what it is, what that code is. If you ask them, or if they were pressed to tell you, they actually could do that. They could actually give you the source where they derived their code and why they subscribe to it as a group, and how having that shared value system has allowed them to survive and thrive even in hostile environments to them. That's why you can't come for them. That's why you can't come for them. The so-called Black community lacks this element. Because we have no shared value system, we are unable to have a code, and therefore we are unable to be a community in the first place. The so-called Black community lacks a code, aka a shared value system. And because we don't have a shared value system, we are unable to be a community in the first place. This is where the confusion is at. This is why we fight and destroy ourselves so often and so ruthlessly. This is why we do it. We're going to go deeper. Thank you, What's a King to a God. Said the community is on Zaddy's code, a.k.a. the lost value system. Bingo. Bingo, we're going to get to it. We're going to get to that. We gonna get to that. Thank you, Jay Thomas. That's so right, Lady Kendra. The code was everything. There were places you didn't go, things you didn't do, and people you didn't associate with, and things one did not do for public consumption. I know you less than $20, but you gonna get one of these. Jeremy Eason said, we had a code after civil rights era. Immigrants were allowed in to break our code. We had a code in Reconstruction. We had a code directly out of slavery. We had it. I've stated many times in depth about why Black Wall Street was Black Wall Street, why Rosewood was Rosewood, why all of the various Black communities that thrived were able to thrive. I've gone through that so many times because we had a shared value system. We had that. We don't have it now, which is why we can't recreate that success. We can't recreate a Black Wall Street right now, even if we tried, and even if we had billions of dollars at our disposal, because we have no shared value system. I'm going to tell you why that breaks us down. I'm going to tell you why that dooms us, why it's dangerous, why it is deadly, why it has led us to the edge of a cliff that we about to jump off of. Don't perceive the danger. We don't perceive the mortality. Thank you, J. Thomas Russell. Thank you, 39 Dina. The code / the value system helps to create boundaries about what is acceptable, what is unacceptable, first among ourselves before we talk about what's acceptable or unacceptable for others to do to us. The shared value system helps to create the boundaries around what is acceptable and what is not acceptable first among ourselves. It prevents us as a group from consuming and destroying ourselves by having checks and balances and boundaries to observe. Thank you, Terenzo. So the community code value system is a symbiotic relationship with nature, which is literally ourselves beyond 100% of life and death. Thank you so much. Having a shared value system helps to create the boundaries about what is acceptable and not acceptable among us as a group. What we do to each other versus what we don't do to each other. What we will allow from one another versus what we won't allow from one another. What is considered a violation of my brother and sister versus what's not considered a violation of my brother and sister. It's problematic because we as Black people are quick to say we're not a monolith. Because we think being a monolith is we have to agree with each other on even the most minute detail, and that's not what that means. That's not what that means. In this sense, being a monolith means that we hold a shared general value system that any one of us would be able to articulate. To articulate it. To say it definitively. I am not talking about no vague idea and a vague sense. I'm not talking about that. Because when you have a shared value system, you can say what it is. Without blinking, without stuttering, without trying to figure it out, or none of that. Right now, if you ask any given black person what the code is, you'll get any given answer because we don't know. We want to know. We want one, but we don't have one. And I've been trying to tell y'all what that code's supposed to be. I've been trying to tell y'all what that is. Thank you, Bella Rings. I'm trying to tell y'all what that is. We lost it after Reconstruction. We lost it after the assassinations back to back to back of our black strong male leaders. We lost it. We forgot it. We forgot the code. We forgot our collective value system. We forgot. We lost heart. We got disillusioned about it. We became disenchanted about it. When they assassinated Martin, when they assassinated Malcolm, when they got rid of the Black Panther Party by assassination, by trumped up charges, a lot of them brothers still in prison for life. When they take every icon and they try to smear his name or put dirt on his name or tarnish his legacy somehow or make us feel something else. Like they say Martin had a bunch of side chicks and Malcolm was doing this and that. And it's after them brothers is gone. After them brothers gave their life. We don't got no code because we can sit here and we can question the legacies they left behind and try to diminish what they did. Let me go back up. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Izzo. Said, we have too many wannabe Deborah Lees to be on code. People like her think code means get mine. Thank you. Thank you, Nehemiah. Said the universal code, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and get into a commercial break. And we're going to come back and cook. The commercials are fun and they bring a little levity. So after these messages, we'll be right back.
First, Gamer vs. Gamer does not consider itself a game truck. To clarify, a game truck is one that pulls up to your home, opens its doors, and tells the kids to go play video games. The entire focus of a game truck is on playing video games. That's not what we do at Gamer vs. Gamer. Our entire focus is actually on celebrating your child's birthday. Only 65% of what we do is video game related. The other 35% of our time is spent on a choreographed recognition of your child's special day.
Happy birthday. Wish we were there. Sorry we missed it, but we'll see you soon. Love you.
Which includes singing, eating, special videos, and the opening of gifts. We chose to use video games as a tool to entertain children at the party, not as a substitute for a birthday party. We only advertise as a game truck because that's what the general public associates us as.
Gamer versus gamer.
Gamer versus gamer. We look forward to treating your child like the most important kid in the world on their birthday.
Hi, Gamer vs. Gamer. Thank you so much for my birthday party.
I like to see the children happy. I like to see them dancing around because I like what it represents, because the wonderful people who sponsor this show, the wonderful people at Gamer vs. Gamer provides an excellent memory, an excellent experience for the children. If you or anyone that you know live in the Atlanta metropolitan area, you got children with birthdays coming up, you definitely want to hit the link to Gamer vs. Gamer pinned at the top of the chat, gamervsgamer.com. Go to their website, speak to them. You're going to get a quote for the price as well. Know that this is an elite service that is really dedicated to not only just having a place to put your kids for a birthday party that's out your face, but a place where the family can actually come together and express their love and express their joy and share in the child's happiness on their birthday and really create that memorable experience that they will carry for the rest of their lives. So once again, if you're in the Atlanta metropolitan area, please don't hesitate to hit the link at the top of the chat, gamervsgamer.com. Okay. Let me read super chat. Thank you, Philip said, Kay, you know YouTube is an entertainment circus. Just keep your head on straight as you are. I'm trying. Thank you so much, Philip. I'm I'm trying. Before I get into that, I owe y'all a bam, 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 bam. You gotta hit the like button, bam, bam. You gotta because we got 419 awesome people that have hit the like button. Let's see if we can get the other 400 or 500 people to hit it as well. I'm trying to keep my head straight. I'm trying. Because I'm going to tell you the truth. That I feel a way. I feel a way. There have been shots, and I don't know if the shots got my name on them or not, but I've been getting hit with some of them anyway. I don't know if that's purposeful or not. And some of them shots have come from a direction that I didn't expect. And I don't quite believe in friendly fire. To be thrown into a pot that has been labeled chameleon, that has been labeled grifter, that has been labeled jealous. To be thrown in that pot indiscriminately, I feel a way. Like I said, I don't know if the shots, because I haven't necessarily heard my name, but it's been pew, pew, pew. You know, I don't know if I'm getting caught in the crossfire or not. This is the worst than quit. Shot Della Reese in her pinky toe. You know, it didn't kill her, but you know, it was a shot. Like, Negro, you shot me in my pinky toe. Thank you, Eliza. Said, a bit over a year ago, a hyena told me to choose between the family that birthed me and the one I created. I chose the latter. You make that choice easy daily. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. No, I got a thick skin. I'm not bothered by anybody's personal opinion about me. I'm not bothered by that. I'm not bothered by critique. I accepted that when I accepted to become a public figure and say the things that I'm saying. Everybody not gonna like it. Everybody not gonna like you. Everybody not gonna like. People are mean. People are mean. And I know that. What it has made me do is come back and reevaluate why I'm here. Am I here for my own ego? Am I here for pandering? Am I here for just the bag? Am I here? Or am I really here because my people need help? And somebody got to help them. And there's one verse of the Quran that brings this to mind. And then we're gonna get back to this cook. And then Allah says in the Quran, English interpretation, do you think that you will say that you believe and not be tested? Do you think that you will say that you believe and not be tested? And when you put it into perspective, this is light work. The prophets of Allah had it much worse. They had to get a life for it. They had to get a life for it. Thank you, Stardust. Said, do as the Most High tells you. Never mind the naysayers. Precisely. Thank you, Robert Rand. So now, let's get back to this cook. Because I ain't even got to the good part yet. I ain't got to the good part yet. Code. Having a code, having a shared value system helps a group of people to identify positively with one another. And it helps us to attach value to ourselves as individuals and helps us to attach value to ourselves as a group. It also helps us to attach value to that which we collectively build. I'm going to repeat that. Having a code and a shared value system helps us identify positively with one another. It helps us to attach value to ourselves as individuals and values to ourselves as a group. And it also helps us to attach value to that which we collectively build. If you ever wonder why black folk don't value their own neighborhood, their own block, their own building they live in, their own stores, if you ever wonder why black people do not value their own neighborhood, family, whatever, but they will value other people's neighborhood, other people's family, other people's establishment, this is why. Because when we go to them other places, we understand intrinsically that they have a code and we don't. So we know they value them whether we like them or not. They don't care. They value one another. They value what they build. They value what they have. They see value in each other. And we know we better not mess with it. On the reverse, other people understand that we don't have a code. We don't have a shared value system. Therefore, they know we don't see value in each other. We don't positively identify with one another. We don't value what the other one build or what the other one do or what the other one have. We don't have no value for that. We don't attach no value to it. This is why it's easy to take each other's life, difficult to take another life. This is why it's easy for us to fall out with each other and cuss each other out and be done with one another, but we can't do it with other people when they violate. why we'll cut each other off like that. That's why we don't mind destroying each other's property. We don't mind that. If a black person create a business, we don't mind going into that business and disrespecting it. Like they do the turkey leg hut. We don't mind doing that. We don't mind going in and being disrespectful because we don't have a shared value system. Therefore, we don't see value in one another because we don't identify with one another in a positive way. So you don't mean nothing to me, and I don't mean nothing to you. That's why it don't take nothing. It can be the flimsiest thing, and we'll come burn your whole thing down. A black person can be trying to do something positive in the community, and we won't get behind it. We want to wait, watch, see what they gonna do. Are they genuine? Are they just trying to get our money to build something for their benefit? Or is they really, see, this is the kind of stuff that we do. If somebody else come into the picture and say, we want y'all money because we gonna build something else, we'll willingly do it because we trust that. We are trusting that based upon their value system, they gonna do right. And we don't trust one another because we know we don't got no value system. Therefore, we know we don't have a boundary that dictates what's okay to do to one another and what's not okay. Do we understand that? Do we understand that? Thank you, King Bolden said, we appreciate your work and your divine feminine power. Thank you so much, sweetheart. Thank you, Dr. G said, if you were here for the bag, you wouldn't be covering the topics you cover. These are the least profitable topics you could pick. If you are in it for the bag, you made a bad financial decision. Lies are profitable and the truth is a love language. Thank you so much. Thank you, Timothy Blewett said, a recent show of shameful debauchery in support of Miss Thang, who spout the rhetoric of the lost cause, brought me to the realization of who truly support the interests of our people. The worship of this woman was disgusting. Thank you so much. This is why we don't care about each other. This is actually why I'm telling y'all, this is why we don't care about each other. This is why you know when you walked into a black neighborhood, because the grass ain't kept and the buildings look bad and it looks shabby and it look run down. This is how you know you walked into a black neighborhood. I don't care if you've never been to that city before. You know you came to the hood when it looked run down. When it's trash all around. You know you came to the hood. You know you did. I don't care if you've never been to that city before. I don't care if you just passing through. Why do we know that? Why do we know that? Why is that the hallmark of coming into the black community. Why is that the hallmark of that? Because we don't care. We don't care. Thank you, Carlisle said, just for the topic, respect. Thank you so much. We don't care about none of that. It don't mean nothing. We don't mean anything to each other. We're going to get to the next part. Thank you, Mayonnaise said, what is our value system? Ask that in response to every black people are not a monolith comment under every post displaying the lost value system. Thank you so much. Somebody just said we don't own our neighborhoods. It's a reason for that. This is the core issue. The reason we don't own, let me tell you why we don't own our neighborhoods. It's not because everybody else is smarter than us and everybody else. It's not, it don't got nothing to do with that. I promise you it don't. We don't own our own neighborhoods because lack of a code. Let me go back over something that I said. Having a code and a shared value system helps us to identify positively with one another. It also helps us to attach value to ourselves as individuals and as a group. It also helps us to attach value to that which we collectively build. Caveat. The lack of the code actually prevents the building process. Because we don't identify positively with one another, therefore, we do not identify our collective needs, and nor do we strive to meet those needs for ourselves. Hence, we do not own our neighborhoods. Did y'all catch that? When we say own our neighborhood, not each and every individual. Let's not get lost in the details. I'm going to say it again. This is why there's no more Black Wall Street. This is why there's no more Rosewood. This is why. This is why. We don't got to guess. We don't got to figure it out. I'm telling you why. I'm telling you why we don't. Why we don't build stuff no more. Because we don't have a shared value system. There's nothing that holds us together. Nothing at all. Because we don't have a shared value system that brings us together. The lack of the shared value system is why there is no proper culture. Everybody else got a culture. We the only people think it's okay for us not to have a centralized kind of culture that defines and identifies. Listen. When we say culture, the definition of culture is influence and is shaped by the shared practices, in a society, in this case, in a group, to create harmonious function by a group of people. Harmonious function. What don't we have? We don't have harmonious function. Why come black people can't never work together? Why we always fighting? We don't have harmonious function. That is what a culture is. Culture serves to unite and strengthen people by understanding how and why things are done in a particular way. Culture is the learned element that contributes to identity. It is not static, but changes and influences change in people. We can't get no more defined than that. I'm trying to tell y'all the problem and the solution at the same time. Thank you, Jesus again. Said God is the code. We as a community got to be able to see each other as each other. I am you, you are me. I think that's a start to a healthy, strong foundation to build upon. That's exactly what seeing value in one another means. We gotta get grounded spiritually first. This is why I talk about the 10 life values, and the first one is spiritual. That's why. That's why. And this is why I be saying spiritual is not a particular religion. I'm going to give you an example. Some of us are Muslim. Some of us are Christian. We don't share necessarily the same religion. That's why number one is not religion. It's spiritual value. There's a difference between the two. We can still come under the same umbrella of that value system, whether we Christian or Muslim or other. The reason why we're able to do that is because if you understand moral code and principle, and I understand moral code and principle, then we understand what we should do to each other and what we shouldn't. So the fact that I'm Muslim and somebody else is a Christian should not conflict with, don't do this to me because it's immoral. I won't do that to you because it's immoral. Our understanding of justice and morality should be so on par that we would never conflict with each other. We know not to unjustly murder one another. We know that. We know not to steal from one another. We know that. We know not to start drama and mess and carry tales and backbite one another. We know that. That's a spiritual thing. Even an atheist understand that stealing from folks is wrong. Backbiting one to the other and all that, that's wrong. We know that. We know that. You don't need a particular religion. That's innate morality. That we've lost that. We have lost innate morality. We've ignored it. We've ignored it so long that we So the lack of the code prevents the building process because we do not identify positively with one another. Therefore, we do not identify our common collective needs. And we don't strive to meet those needs ourselves. Case in point, and I'm talking about this really from a practical standpoint. What are the things that we need in our Black community? We need things that are going to practically represent each one of these values. So for spiritual value, the practical representation of that would be houses of worship. Now, we got those, but then we have to look at what do we learn out of them and what do we get out of them. That then becomes, but that's another conversation. Health. We be needing clinics, hospitals, not Planned Parenthoods. Clinics, hospitals, doctors, nurses. We need them. Sometimes we don't have that at our easy disposal. Or if we do have clinics and hospitals, they are in such a bad state. They don't help us with our health. Family. What about the homes, the apartment buildings, places where we live, communal centers where families may gather? Places where families may go? Appearance, our clothing stores, our barbershops, our salons, our tailors, the people that make the clothes. Our dwelling. Again, the places we stay. Our mobility. Are we even in places that have the transportation? Do we have our own transportation? Do we have our eyes on the political, like the local politics? Aldermen, folks that run the district? Do we know who those people are? Do we get people from the community to run for those positions? We be worried about the presidency, but we don't know who our local aldermen are. Get behind people who are in our community. Show up. Show up at the town hall meeting. Show up at the school meeting. Show up instead of just relying on, well, them people going to do what they want to do. Of course they going to do what they want to do if you don't show up with no numbers. And you don't show up what? With a code. Just like in Detroit, in Dearborn, Michigan, in the school system, them Muslims and Arabs showed up in force at the school board meetings. Not one time, not two times. And said, you are not going to teach our kids this foolishness in this school. I don't care nothing about you being in a public school. You're not going to teach our kids this foolishness. You're not. Because we care about them. And you're not going to have these books. And you're not going to have these little courses. And you're not going to have this little curriculum. You're not going to ruin the value system of our children. We'll pull them out of here. We'll pull them out of here first. And they got the power to do it. Because they got a shared value system. If they come together and them housewives start homeschooling, that school system in trouble. They can do that. We can't do that. Thank you, Lord Geotron said we must stop letting the weak influence our boys. Thank you, Mrs. Japrice. Well, we love what you do. You're so wise. Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you all. I really appreciate all of you. Thank you, Supreme 10. I have been saying this since age 22. Local elections are more important than national elections. Bingo. The problem with us as Black people here, especially here in America, I can't speak on nobody else. We only now exist within the lost value system, which is the exact same thing as not having a value system to begin with. Because the lost value system is a mockery of the 10 life values. It's a mockery of a value system. Therefore, it is a free-for-all where there are no boundaries, there are no rules, and the truth don't have nothing to do with nothing. We are too steeped in the lost value system. The lost value system is the equivalent of not having a value system. That's why it's lost. Words have a meaning. It's a lost value system because it keeps you lost. Let me go back into it. A lost value system, not only is it the inverse of the 10 life values, each value within the lost value system is corrupted in and of itself. It is backwards in and of itself. That's why spirituality has no truth. And this is why I keep saying the truth is the only exit out of the lost value system. The truth makes it fall because it is built on a lie or a series of lies. It is built on a series of lies, which is why the lies have to be upkept in order for the lost value system to remain functional and in effect. Once the truth is understood and internalized and acted upon, you exit immediately out of it. When they say the truth sets you free, that's what they're talking about. That is what it was actually talking about in the Bible. The truth sets you free. Free from what? Because the opposite of freedom is bondage. The opposite of freedom is bondage. And when you are in bondage, that means some other external force controls you biologically, culturally, and environmentally. That is bondage. When some other external force or group or people control you biologically, culturally, and environmentally, that is bondage. The truth frees you from a bondage. And if you don't think that your Quran or your Bible or whatever book you follow, if it's a revealed book, the lost value system is talked about. That's what God trying to free you from. That's what he's talking about. That's the system that get broken. When the truth comes, that's the system that break. Why did Jesus overturn the money changers table at the temple? Why did he do that? What system were they involved in? What were they doing? Why did it anger him so much that he did that? And then he grabbed a whip and started whipping them. Why? Why did he do that? Why did it anger him so much? Go back and read that entire section. Go back and read that whole section. Why was he mad at them? Because they were sitting there involved in the lost value system. They was involved in not only the trade, they were involving themselves in interest. It was money changing. They were involving themselves in a system that was the antithesis of the system God gave them. It was a lost value system form of acquiring wealth. They were involved in the lost value system because they were doing what they were doing. They had placed wealth above spirituality. They had done that. That's what it represented. That's why Jesus was angry. And that's why he didn't ask them to stop. He made them stop. That's why they mad. That's why they were angry with him. That's why they were angry with him. See, they wasn't just angry with him because he was spiritual, because he said he was from God, and when he said, that God had sent him with a message, that didn't bother them. What bothered them was that the message was going to break the system they had involved themselves in, which was the lost value system. It was going to break it. That was the same problem that the Quraysh had with Prophet Muhammad. It was the same problem. Same problem with him. They didn't mind worship Allah, and they didn't mind all that. The problem was that what he was talking about and what the other people around him were absorbing from him was a value system that would break the lost value system that they had been living by. That was the problem. That was their biggest issue about any of them. You trying to disrupt a corrupt system that we have gotten, that we are getting benefit from at the expense of other people. How dare you come along with another set of values that is going to break what we do? And at the head of every lost value system is the ill-gotten wealth. Thank you, Lord Geotron said they're girl bosses in a 304 phase, worshiping demons, running around, believing in astrology, listening to Amber Rose, following Kim Kardashian. Yeah. Thank you, Teray. And I'm saying this not to get all religious and all of that type of stuff. But I'm trying to drive the point home that the concept of a value system and a lost value system, that war, that battle is old. That's an ancient. There's nothing new under the sun. We are not being faced with a new battle. This is an old battle. It's old. That's what I'm trying to drive home. It's an old battle. It's not a new fight. That is why wealth is 10, not because it's not important, but because of wealth and abundance is supposed to be the accumulation of when you got your life right spiritually, health-wise, family-wise, appearance-wise, dwelling-wise, mobility-wise, educationally, professionally, leisure-wise. When you got them things in order, wealth and abundance come to you. It come to you. You understand how to. It's a byproduct. And it is I keep telling y'all, it's a wheel. Look at the wheel. Number 1 and number 10 are attached to one another. That's the other reason why the lost value system is so dangerous. Because only in the lost value system do you have to choose abundance or spirituality. You got to choose. In the lost value system, you got to choose. You either gonna have wealth at the sacrifice of your spiritual self, or you have spiritual self and truth at the sacrifice of wealth. That is why it's dangerous, because that's actually a lie. That's actually a lie. That's not the truth. It's not the truth. That's why I keep pointing out that wealth and spirituality is they are together, they anchor the values, they anchor the value system. Ultimate abundance and wealth come to you when your spiritual self is intact. When it is intact. That's the part they don't tell you. And you don't get told that to keep you away from spirituality and away from wealth. They tell you that lie of the lost value system to keep you away from both things. You won't have wealth and your spirituality will be in the trash. That's the trap. So you end up with neither one of them. You're in the lost value system and you're not acquiring either of them. You don't acquire wealth and you lose your spiritual value at the same time. So you don't get nothing. You end up with nothing. You are unfulfilled. That's where the anger comes from, the frustration, the disappointment, the desperation. I'll do anything to get one or the other. You either got to fulfill me spiritually or I got to be rich. And the trick bag is that when you get rich and you don't have that spiritual fulfillment, you're even more miserable than you were when you were poor without the spiritual fulfillment. Do you understand? That's the trick in the trap. That's the trick in the trap. It's such an insidious system. The lost value system is such an evil, diabolical, insidious system that it can only represent the antithesis of God and godliness. I hope y'all understood what I said today. And I hope somebody was able to take something out of what I'm saying. This code thing, we got to start understanding what that actually means. And I defined it for you today. in order to come away from the cliff that we've walked ourselves over into, is that we must recognize why we are so separated and so disjointed and so unable to have unity. Unity is to be united in a value system and not in this undefined, vague unity where we can't articulate it in a specific or coherent way. We got to be able to specify what the values are. Thank you all for coming here and for supporting me. Your support means the world to me because I can't come here and give you this information without it, right? So I appreciate all of the support that I have received. I got my first international order for a book today, so I'm super excited. If you're in the UK or you are in Canada, you can definitely order the book. You won't have any issues at all making that order. All you got to do is go to crimsoncure.com to get your copy, your hard copy of Reclaiming the Black Feminine. Okay? The Lies of Feminism and the Road to Recovery. If you want it in a digital form, you can also get it on Amazon as well. And just I want to thank everyone for their positivity, for their support, for their contributions monetarily, for your likes, just for your participation and your likes and your engagement. That actually means quite a bit. I'm gonna see if there are any cash apps. Expansion, thank you so much. Thank you, Brandon, twice. Thank you for your contribution over Cash App. Thank you, Bill, for yours. Thank you, Boss Style. Thank you so much for your contributions over Cash App. Very well appreciated. Thank you, Lord Geotron, again. So I feel the only way to get to a point of consensus righteousness is by violence and bullying the wicked back to where they belong, in hiding. Thank you so much. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much once again. And I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Bye-bye, Crimsonites.
Hello, my Crimsonites and all of my supporters. I invite...
Let me cut that off before we bye-bye. These earrings, you want to go to Aaliyah's Unique Boutique. Let me put the link in the chat. If you like these earrings, then go to Aaliyah's Unique Boutique. This is my sister makes these. She hand paints them, and they are absolutely gorgeous, very lightweight. She has so many to choose from. So if you like what you see, then go to Aaliyah's Unique Boutique. Go check her out. Make a couple purchases. Show some love. Definitely hit the link. Okay? So now I can wrap this up. Catch you guys on the next one.
Hello, my Crimsonites and all of my supporters. I invite you to go and get your copy of my new book, Reclaiming the Black Feminine, The Lives of Feminism and the Road to Recovery, on sale now at crimsoncure.com. This is guaranteed to change your perspective and positively impact your life. So go ahead now to crimsoncure.com and get your copy today.